just let the last of the individuals kind of come in. This is a new addition to TRACCS. Very excited. This session's called Inside the Pipeline. So all the information that everybody's here this year for is to hear about what the upcoming projects. So this session brings together senior leaders from Canada's largest agencies to share direct, concise briefings on their multi-year capital programs. Over the next 75 minutes, you'll hear focused updates on upcoming projects, budgets, timelines, and procurement approaches, followed by open questions, should there be anybody if we have time. The format is designed to give industry participants clear, actionable insights in how to engage with these programs. Our objective is straightforward: to facilitate direct dialogue between the agencies shaping Canada's passenger rail future and the contractors, suppliers, and consultants positioned to help deliver it. Each agency will speak to its own pipeline and priorities. Questions and competitive considerations will be addressed throughout the session, should there be any. We begin with Metrolinx. Please join in welcoming Chet Shaw, Senior Executive Vice President of Integrated Delivery for Metrolinx. Thank you. Thank you. And your slides are there, okay?
Great. Hello. Well, thank you all for being here. I know I have a number of Metrolinx colleagues here, so I may not get into some very, very specific projects, but I wanted to take this opportunity to maybe talk a little bit about what the Metrolinx senior management team is thinking and how we are approaching shaping of the next few years in our capital pipeline and how we're thinking about procurement and some of the things that are going to drive value for us. We can just go to the next slide. This is a really interesting slide and one that kind of humbles me. If anyone's been in my office, I have a 10 by 10 printout of this slide on my wall, and I look at it most days. And my boss was up here a few minutes ago talking about how I think what he said was unreasonable this build-out looks. For me, it feels like it's generational. Many of us are here because we enjoy seeing projects that we can touch and feel, and looking at this map and a vision into our future is humbling. So there's three things I kind of want to talk about before I get into some specific thoughts around how we're shaping our pipeline. One, leaning into our scale. Michael mentioned how large of a capital program we are, the largest transit program in the world. To do that, to unlock that, we need to partner with the best in the world, while also developing some of our skills. Second, we need to refocus ourselves on customer experience. So for Metrolinx, this means focusing on incremental improvements on today's transit program, while also not losing sight of kind of the generational impacts that we're making through our capital projects. And then third, developing our local capabilities in supply chain. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the Ontario model, but this is something that we at the Metrolinx executive team talk a lot about. So perhaps we can go next, and then maybe one after that. So what are some of the initiatives that we're really focused on, what I'm really driving the team on? One, getting people moving quickly. Our communities continue to grow at a rapid rate in a dispersed way. Oftentimes, we're not delivering our station products in a context-specific and scaled manner. And so one of the initiatives I'm really driving and would really appreciate industry's help in is thinking about what is the minimal viable product? How do we scale stations fast? What's something that's repeatable, doable, and not complex, and that we could adapt to where our community is growing? You'll see one of these examples in what we're doing in Grimsby right now. The second thing, and I alluded to it earlier, is we find ourselves in a pretty unique situation of trade uncertainty. Metrolinx is really embracing this opportunity to think about how do we adapt our delivery models and our partnership models to Buy Ontario. We have obviously trade agreements in place that we will respect and work with, but it's really important to us to think through at this moment in our context in Canada, how do we make our supply chain strong and diverse and resilient so we can continue to grow our local base of manufacturing and design capabilities. Third, we're going to be refocusing, or not refocusing, but continuing to focus on investment into our existing network. This means large commitments to state of good repair, both technological updates and capability updates. And then fourth, a concerted effort to procure Indigenous services and contractors. It's something that we have been building towards in the last couple of years, and will continue to really, really push and hope to partner with industry to flourish in our next round of procurements. Next slide, please. So how are we engaging? I think Michael kind of talked a little bit about just the need for the honest truth. How do we align incentives? How do we do better together? How do we get transit moving? I think that's important, and I think we've said a lot about that. The other thing I want to recognize is a lot of our partners are trying to build in active rail corridors. That's a really hard thing. So one of the initiatives that I'm kicking off and hoping to partner with industry on is really getting some lessons learned on what are ways in which we can make it less painful, create more access, and make projects go more efficiently in the building of our rail corridors. So many of you will get pings, I think, from my team in your mailboxes with a reach out for help and hopefully the development of a more streamlined, thoughtful process. I can't talk about engagement without talking about our municipal partners. They are crucial to all the things we do. Metrolinx is really focused on trying to continue collaboration to make sure we're building things fast, we're building things quickly, and we're causing the minimal amount of disruption. I think that is really evident. Some of the pain points I've heard from many of you in this room is that there's friction, and we're hoping to try and ease some of that friction. And then finally, our federal partners. I see my friend over here, who we collaborate closely on high-speed rail and other things, continue to get lessons learned, using industry knowledge, best practice, to make sure we're building the right things, using the right technologies, and thinking about what our 10 to 15 to 20-year pipeline looks like. And then maybe I might just end on a couple of, if we go to the next slide, on a couple of specific areas that may be interesting to this group. As we support the evolution of our GO program, this summer we're going to be coming out with a large omnibus package of professional services. This is to help us continue to get the skills and capacity to support the future delivery of the GO expansion program, and importantly, the upskilling of our staff. Second, Michael talked about the future of GO requiring 1,400 new rail cars, specifically EMUs. That's a huge number. To support this, we're going to be seeing, coming to market shortly, and asked to help us think through how best to deliver that, in addition to appending our bus fleet to meet our future needs, but also create resiliency today. And with that, I will pass it off to, I think, Danielle, who's next. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you for going first. Awesome. Thank you very much. And now welcome Danielle Burry, the Metrolinx team at the Hamilton LRT. Danielle Burry, the VP of Hamilton LRT. Your slides will come right there. They'll just let them know. I think this might click it.
I'll just let them know.
Just let them know.
Okay. Hi, everyone. It's a privilege to be here today to talk about Hamilton LRT. It has a long and storied history, and to be in a series around In the Pipeline, meaning that Hamilton LRT is really happening and in the works, is a very exciting opportunity and on a really transformational project. Next, please. So Hamilton LRT is a 14-kilometer, 17-stop, fully at-grade LRT system. There is, I say fully at-grade, there is, however, an underpass under CPKC, but this is the largest infrastructure project that has ever hit the city of Hamilton. It's the biggest investment not only in transit, but in full urban renewal of the corridor in downtown Hamilton. Some of the benefits related to this project is increasing daily boardings to over 50,000, and actually we're updating our modeling now and seeing how the system has performed in the HSR traditional transit network that's currently there today. We're expecting we may be able to even exceed that. It's also about supporting strong connections. This corridor is very unique in that it's not just a commuter corridor. We see a lot of activity throughout this corridor anchored by universities and schools and a lot of social services, activities, stadiums, new arenas, etc. And so there are a lot of strong connections being created as part of this project. It's looking at creating overall reliability. This is the currently busiest transit corridor in Hamilton right now. The bus service is operating so frequently and still leaving people behind. So capacity, reliability, and comfort that LRT will provide is a key component of this project. Another one is this is around community building. It's not just about the train, it's not just about all of the new utilities and civil components of the project that are coming around, but how do we attract long-term development and investments? Next, please. So this is our planned packaging strategy. We've had different procurements on Hamilton LRT in the past. Where we are right now, however, is there are 2 main packages of work supported by advanced enabling works. Our Enabling Works package has been underway since 2023. There's been a lot of great work. We've partnered with our City of Hamilton municipal friends, as well as Electra, Bell, and other utility companies. This is getting a lot of the main transmission lines off of the corridor to allow for space in a very narrow corridor that is the downtown Hamilton area to allow for LRT. Package 1 is our Civil Works and Utility Works package. This was in the market from 2024 through to earlier this year. So we're happy to announce that we have entered into an alliance partnership with AECON and a design joint venture with Hatch, Sistra, and Aegis. We're a few months into our alliance, still working on some of the foundational pieces of our schedule for the development phase for the alliance model, and looking forward to starting to engage the market as we get into our early works, our market engagement for costing, and into full implementation. We also have package 2, which will be starting ideally within the next year or 2. There are options on the table that are currently being evaluated. We're looking forward to doing some market engagement in the near future in terms of how we deliver the remainder of the work. Package 2 is related to our stops, rails, and systems. It's also related to our operations and maintenance contract, as well as our vehicle contract. Packaging in terms of all of the remainder of the scope is still under review and looking for market engagement in the near future in order to make our final decision on how to deliver those portions. Next, please. Oh, I forgot I had this slide. Hey, we celebrated. This is the award of the package with Minister Sakaria joining us to announce that the package was awarded in April. So it was a great opportunity, a long-awaited announcement for the City of Hamilton in terms of being able to finally get moving on something that has been near and dear to our hearts for such a long time. Next, please. So, as I said, we're currently in our development phase. This is really around looking at how we are reducing risk and progressing our designs and construction methodologies into the implementation phase. As I said, we're only a few months into it. We've been working on our target cost advancement, value management opportunities, and we've also included looking at the ongoing development of the SRS components of the project. As we've all learned from a lot of our other projects in this region and around the world, is that integration and thinking around the end in sight is really important in ensuring that what we're doing now in terms of civil and utilities is de-risked and it doesn't result in rework in future packages. We're going to continue to advance our enabling works. We're continuing to do a lot of due diligence work in the corridor, and again, looking forward to getting more activity happening with this project starting this summer. Next, please. Some of the due diligence work that we've done to date and are continuing to do are subsurface investigations. There has been a significant amount of environmental, cultural heritage, and archaeological work. This is an old city. We did one of the first stage 4 archaeological assessments with our organization, where we found over 1,000 artifacts, none of which were actually deemed to be of interest, however, an interesting exercise nonetheless. We've also had to do a significant amount of property acquisition and property demolition. This is one of the unfortunate consequences of putting an LRT in an old, narrow corridor. We've completed 72 demolitions to date. There will be over 100 by the time the project is complete. And in our enabling works, as I said, it's been strategic in terms of ensuring that we're moving a lot of the main services off the corridor. Because the corridor is so narrow, a lot of the enabling works that are possible on the corridor require a little bit more design and certainty before we progress. Next, please. Why are we relocating utilities? A couple different reasons. One, it's really about getting that utility-free zone for LRT, ensuring that we have a reliable service if the high density of utilities in this corridor need to be maintained and disrupted. If you go to the next slide, please, this will show some of the examples of the work that we've done thus far. I'd really like to recognize our partners in the enabling works that have happened, particularly the City of Hamilton. It's been a really good indication of how we work together because they've achieved everything on time and under budget. Next, please. This is just a continuation of showing the remainder of the corridor and the work that has been ongoing. Next, please. So this is how to remain connected. I know this is in the pipeline, and there's probably a lot of people in the audience who are wondering how to get involved, whether it be from the community perspective or from the contractor perspective. We're really looking to ramp up our engagement this year on both fronts, so please feel free to reach out, and looking forward to engaging the market and engaging the community as we progress through this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle. Next, I'd like to welcome the TTC and Stephanie Davies, Chief Capital Officer.
Thank you very much. Thanks everyone for being here over the lunch hour. Hopefully you're getting some good information from us in what all the exciting things that are happening both in this jurisdiction, but we'll also hear from other parts of Canada as well, I understand, so that's very exciting. I was on this stage about a year ago at the last year's TRACCS promising a pipeline, so I'm here to tell you, if you don't already know, that we do have one published. Stay tuned to the last slide where I'll give you a fancy QR code that you can go and access to see exactly what is upcoming within TTC. Next slide, please. Very excited to share TTC's pipeline of work and go into a few details of some important projects that we're doing. As we know, TTC, both subway, streetcar, and bus, is the workhorse of the City of Toronto, moving over 1.2 million people every day. And accordingly, we have a legacy set of assets and that we need to keep into a state of good repair and also expand and improve for our customers of the future. So we do have a growing capital program, and we have over $16 billion in our 10-year pipeline of funded works. We have an ongoing backlog of state of good repair as well that we talk about often, which numbers over 30 million, and includes both state of good repair and also expansion opportunities and improvement opportunities like platform edge doors, which is often talked about. This is an exciting pipeline. I think overall it's a consistent pipeline. We hear often from our supply chain that while massive projects are exciting and brings lots of people together, consistency of work in pipeline is also really, really important, and we certainly have that at the TTC. Next slide, please. So, Waterfront East Rapid Transit. This is definitely the #1 reason why people are calling me these days. Very exciting announcement back in March for this project of about $3 billion worth of funding. So what I will share today is this is going to be a jointly delivered project between the City of Toronto, Waterfront Toronto, and TTC. We are working through how we are going to deliver that and how we are going to manage the deliverables that we have into the $3 billion funding envelope as well. So stay tuned. I don't have a large amount of details to share today, but do stay tuned, as this is certainly a very exciting improvement to this part of the City of Toronto. As you know, if you're a resident or have traveled in this area, a huge amount of development already happening along Queen's Quay, and more to come in through to Cherry Street and Aquaminising and the new development in the Portlands as well. So a lot of opportunity here stay tuned and we will share more as we have details on how this will be delivered. Early works are progressing though as well later this year, and you'll hear more about that. Next slide, please. So Bloor-Young, this is currently TTC's largest single project and contract, infrastructure contract, I should say, which is $1.5 billion to expand our most important interchange at Bloor-Young. This is in development phase right now. We do have a partner in Canadian Murphy joint venture and Arup, we're about halfway through development phase on that, hoping to reach our target price by the end of 2027. There certainly, though, will be, I think it's still important to talk about here, certainly will be subcontractor opportunities as that work gets defined. We're about halfway through and really seeing great results through the progressive design build development phase and finding value engineering and ways to improve the delivery of this important interchange expansion in a very busy part of the city. Next slide, please. So speaking of expansion overall, Bloor-Young is the largest single project, but really is part of a portfolio of works on both Line 1 and Line 2 overall. So Line 1 and Line 2 existing infrastructure, like I said, moving many, many hundreds of thousands of people a day. There is a huge amount of development happening, particularly along Line 1, but also along Line 2. And we do anticipate a large increase in ridership along both these lines over the coming years. In order to accommodate that, we obviously need to improve and modernize our existing systems. On Line 2, I'll talk about the subway trains next, but we're also moving forward with ATC on Line 2 to improve headways and increase our capacity to move people. That's ultimately that's what we are doing, and this is all in response to the housing, anticipated housing and ridership growth that we have along Line 1 and Line 2. So in addition to station upgrades like Bloor-Young and in other locations, this really is a suite of works. Mostly will be individual packages, but traction power upgrades is a huge important thing that we need to do in order to increase capacity on the line. Fire ventilation, another important, not very exciting, but important improvement to our systems as well, so we can put more trains through, and obviously to our maintenance facilities as well, needing to upgrade and expand in order to meet the requirements of our growing system, or our increasing system overall. Next slide. So as I mentioned on Line 2, we already are in procurement now, are in implementation now with our supplier, with Alstom, for 55 new subway trains. These will power Line 2 and replace our existing T1s that have been the workhorse there for many, many years. So this is an exciting upgrade for us. We are in early stages with Alstom, but looking forward to those coming out over the next couple of years. And obviously, don't talk to me, talk to Alstom about opportunities that you have in terms of supply to those new subway trains as they get designed and engineered over the next couple of years. Next slide. One other single project I wanted to call out that is of importance to us is what we're calling our transit operations facility. This is really a new operational control center, replacing our existing one to bring us into a modern state of systems and facility for basically the brain of operational control at TTC. So this is currently in design. I know we say here procurement timelines to be announced. It will be added to our pipeline shortly. We do anticipate the moment we're planning to go out with the construction management at risk model, and aiming for later on this year, early next for that. So this is about a $500 million project through building and systems, and will be a key cornerstone of TTC's operational control in the future. Next slide. And last, I really just wanted to talk about kind of the rolling program of facility upgrades. I mean, TTC right now partners with Metrolinx in many ways in expanding our system, expanding our lines, both Line 1, Line 2, and Line 5 ultimately as well. So, the expansion part is really achieved in partnership, but we do have a rolling program of facility upgrades. As you can imagine, we are a legacy system. Our subway lines were built many decades ago, and so because of that, we have a constant need to upgrade, replace our existing systems and our existing facilities. So I won't rhyme off everything on the slide here, but just know that we do, as part of our $16 billion program over the next 10 years, that obviously includes a rolling set of projects and work packages that come out constantly, so that we can keep our existing service and our existing assets in the state of good repair that our customers need them to be in. And my last slide is the promised QR code. So we do have a pipeline. It's on our website. I will admittedly say it's not easy to find, which is why I thought a QR code would be helpful. Please do take a snapshot. But this is where we have everything noted going forward. It is a continuous, goes through a continuous updating cycle. So please do return frequently if you can, so you can see new and increased opportunities there. Everything is posted on MERCS publicly, so that's easy to find. But do please take the active step of informing yourself as well on what's upcoming. And maybe I'll just close with saying that it's certainly, like I said last year, I was here on this stage trying to increase and engage with the market. I know TTC historically maybe hasn't taken as much of an active role in that, but I certainly am very keen to. I've been there now 18 months and trying to very much ensure that we are partnering with our supply chain as much as possible to do great work together. So thank you for your time and look forward to any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Next, I'd like to welcome Calgary Transit. Oh, no, I'm going to do Calgary first. Sorry. William, you can just stay in the middle. Perfect. Vinay and Shaq. I didn't know how you guys wanted to speak, so I'm going to let you guys.
Hi, everyone. I'm Vinay, leader of signaling systems for Calgary Transit, and this is Shaq. Shaq, do you want to? Shaq's got an interesting title, so I'm like, you want to introduce?
Okay, sorry, I'm Shaq Sarai. I'm the manager of technical interface and operational readiness with the City of Calgary.
See, I told you guys. Okay, next slide, please. So I'm sure most of you agree with this. So a better transit system equals to a better city, right? So Calgary Transit operates fast and frequent service on two different lines. We have a red line and blue line. Trains run every 10 minutes for at least 15 hours daily. But the only problem is only 10% of Calgarians live within walkable distance, and 30% of jobs are within walkable distance. As you can see, as like any other city, there's been an increase in population since 2024, yet no new buses or trains have been added to this growth. And despite Calgary being Canada's third largest city, it's been limited by a transit system. It's one of the most increasingly strained, as for more people rely on it quite a bit. Next slide, please. So to advance this transit system, Calgary Transit has identified and prioritized investments in specific capital projects designed to support network integration, reduce congestion, and also provide a sustainable alternate to driving. So our main focus for today, we do have a couple of projects here, but our main focus today is going to be for just the LRT side of it. Next slide, please. So this is the first one. This is the Blue Line Northeast extension. I'm hoping that you guys are familiar with the whole city and you know all these locations. But okay, so the project, the way it's being delivered, it's going to be delivered in two different stages. The first one is going to be from Saddletown, which is our last station in the Blue Line. It goes up to 80th Ave, and then it goes up to Country Hills. And these are proposed two new stations that will be added for this extension. So in 2025, a detailed design for this first phase that's up to 80th Ave has been completed. Has been actually started, and then the anticipation is for 2027. So the extension will not just be, it'll improve access to northeast communities, but it'll also enable a connection to future Airport Connect. Next slide, please. So the airport transit connection will be future linked between the new Green Line and Blue Line extension. So which is, this project is very dependent on the extension of the Blue Line that is to 80th Ave, and then this will be an addition to that. So in 2025, a study was completed, and a detailed design for the segment from the airport to the Blue Line is anticipated in 2026. So once this project is implemented, it will help a lot of travelers to move back and forth from the Calgary International Airport. It also supports an enhanced access between downtown and airport. So there'll be 3 new stations here. I should just look here. 3 new stations here, 6 kilometers between 80th Ave Northeast Station and Airport Terminal. So this, like I said, this will be a link between the future Green Line and the Blue Line Northeast section. Next slide, please. Okay. So this is the Red Line South extension. So this is extending the Red Line towards south, 4 kilometers from Somerset Bridlewood Station, which is our last station currently, to the 210 Avenue South, which will be a new station. So there will be 2 stations added, which will be at Silverado and 210 South. So Red Line is one of our busiest C trains and plays an important role in supporting the rapid growth of South Calgary. So the project does include 2 new stations, as I mentioned, and there will be a maintenance storage facility at 210 Avenue South. The extension project is projected to serve an estimated 90,000 residents by 2048, improving, obviously, connectivity between downtown and the southern communities. This is still in functional study phase, and the report is expected in 2026. And if there's any further questions that you have, you can always contact us, engage@calgary.ca on any of these projects. Next slide, please. This is where I'll let Shaq talk about this more, Green Line.
We're gonna go in as a tag team here, so you guys get a 2-for-1 deal from Calgary here, as if you asked for it. So, all right, so as Vinay touched on, the red and blue lines are our current workhorse lines here. The Green Line is a vision to add a 3rd rail transit line connecting all the way with its full vision, expecting to stretch 46 kilometers from Seaton in the deep southeast all the way to 160th Avenue in the north. The new line will not interconnect with the existing red and blue lines, and it's serviced by new low-floor trains and all new separate right-of-way. Next slide, please. So the vision is being realized in multiple phases. First phase is effectively from downtown to Shepherd, and those of you familiar with the project know that the saga of the downtown is ongoing between the multiple orders of government. We are still taking a look at potential options of working through the downtown. What is currently being developed is actually on the next slide here, which is the southeast part of the program. So this particular part of the program stretches from the event center, which is just outside of the southeast corner of downtown in Calgary, all the way down to Shepherd. It includes 16 kilometers of dual track LRT, including all systems, including traction, power, and signals. Includes the 2 river crossings, 10 stations, 28 LRVs, 1 MSF located at the Shepherd site, and 3 park and rides. Next slide, please. So where are we in terms of procurement right now? The program was originally cut out as a single DBF. Roughly in about 2024, the City of Calgary pivoted to a multi-contract approach. It's a multi-contract strategy. That multi-contract strategy is being supported by our delivery partner in Atkins Realis, who's obviously one of the sponsors here today. And these basically are broken out based on the map that you see kind of there, and as we refer to the next set of sections here. So next slide, please. So where are we in terms of procurement right now? These are our currently underway projects. So the maintenance and storage facility grading, building foundation and utilities currently underway. The MSF structural steel was recently awarded. The MSF vehicle wash has been, or should be awarded shortly. The 114th Avenue to Barlow elevated guideway will be awarded shortly as well. Ongoing works are at 78th Avenue LRT Bridge, the Ogden Road realignment, and Blackfoot Trail LRT Bridge. So we are very much shovels in the ground and very much in the midst of construction right now. Jump over to the next slide. Okay, so what you'll see is actually our upcoming major civil works that are coming up here. These were the result of already a completed RFPQ process, and so the shortlisted companies are those here. So if you want to participate in any of these procurements, be sure to bug your partners and your colleagues here in any of the shortlisted companies as well too. Okay, we'll step over to the next slide. Okay, so active and upcoming procurements. So those there marked in the asterisks are also only, if you refer to the previous slide, those are only tied back to those who are pre-qualified. And so the pre-qualified parties are the only ones that are going to be allowed to bid on those with the asterisk. So the only ones that are an exception to that will be brought out to the open market is the package for the MSF construction. So that is the actual facility of the building, not including the structural steel and the foundations package that has currently already been awarded and under construction. The other piece is the connection into the downtown, which is the Ramsey Inglewood Station to Event Center and Grand Central Station area as well. So that will also be open to the full market there. Next slide, please. Okay, so these are going to be our active and upcoming procurements for both traction power, communications, track, as well as other systems as well too. We currently have an RFPQ out in the market for the signaling and train control system. I believe that is to close in July. Our RFP for our signaling and train control will then follow shortly thereafter and will only be issued to those who've been successful through the RFPQ process. Our wheel truing machines, those are currently slated for later part of Q2, which we're running out of very quickly here, as is our MSF paint booth. And then the other major projects that will be coming out here, packages, will be for the traction power and communication systems, looking at Q3 of 2026, and a track package for Q3 of 2026 as well too. There will be significant more smaller opportunities as well too, everything from operational readiness packages, maintenance of way equipment, outside of these major big packages, which brings me to our next slide, which is really where all of our procurement packages get posted. So you'll see on the right side here, it's just a link from our QR code here to our Alberta Purchasing Connection website. This is where all of the procurement, including the ones that Vinay has been speaking of, including any of state of good repair state of good repair procurements, consulting procurements for the City of Calgary, they're all posted here on Alberta Purchasing Connection. And then for more information on the Green Line, LRT specifically, and its supply and contract opportunities or updates on its actual procurement as it progresses, you can take a look at the QR code on the left there. And that's it for me, so thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Calgary Transit. Next, I'd like to welcome TransLink Vancouver, William.
Thank you. It's great to be here. It's my first time at TRACCS, and it's great to see so much interest for our presentation today. In fact, it's really great timing because yesterday I had just finished our procurement breakfast with the Association of Consulting Engineers Canada in Vancouver. Immediately after that meeting, I hopped on a plane to come here, so this is a great opportunity to show off our projects. Similar to Metrolinx, we are in the biggest period of expansion in Vancouver for rail. We are in the middle of delivering one of our most ambitious programs in all of Vancouver's history. We are in the middle of building 2 new extensions, 1 new control center, 1 new yard. We're delivering about 210 new rail vehicles, and we're expecting to deliver another rail yard in the very near future. So it's very exciting, but we are in the middle, so some of them are coming towards the end, particularly the new control center and one of the new extensions towards the west called the Broadway Subway Project. My group in systems engineering is delivering a number of projects to support the operational technologies within the organization. So being a rail conference, I'll start with the rail, but certainly there are other elements of our transit system that we're working on. First off, we are delivering a number of projects to support the expansion efforts, and you can see some of those on the screen. In our group, we have 2 main branches. We have an engineering or a technical branch led by Cleo Wong, and then we have a project management team led by Novak. For the engineering branch, we are looking for procurements related to technical development, whether that's design or things like more detailed elements such as requirements, concepts of operations, integration, etc. And those would span the areas on the right side of this graph, or this graphic, for the 4 main program areas that we have in our department. So firstly, with project management, we do need project managers, and we will have a number of openings related to specific projects in these program areas. We also are looking for program managers overall to help lead a more holistic approach on delivering these ambitious pieces of work, whether that's both in expansion or state of good repair. Let me work through a little bit with you in terms of the expansion. Firstly, the expansion is required for supporting our operations with broader geography and new stations. So some of that might involve operations and maintenance facilities in terms of distributed maintenance sites. We may need some additional capacity within our existing yards. So some of those projects will be coming out to market very soon to support the new extensions and new facilities coming up in hopefully 2027. And this leads to the state of good repair. We do have the longest fully automated train network in the world. I think we're just kind of neck and neck with Dubai. So no drivers, no signals on the rail. So it's a very unique system, and that's why we have a lot of operational technologies to support all that operation. We have 4 main programs to support the state of good repair. The first one is telecommunication systems. We do have radio and data communications projects within our system. A lot of the technology is now very old. Some of it dates back even to the 80s. So we're in a period of renewal and modernization. So for example, we are upgrading one of our legacy radio projects from a QS2 system, more of an analog type system, to a more digital system that now uses cellular networks, LTE. So a lot of good work and very exciting work coming to modernize our system in that regard. Safety and security, again, since we don't have drivers, we do rely on a lot of technology. We have physical and functional areas that we do need to modernize, for example, fencing, detection systems, etc. But we're also moving into the era of cybersecurity. So that is going to be a major push for us in the next couple of months and years as we modernize our operational technologies, whether that's train control, whether that's fire life safety systems, whether that's technologies related to communications. There is a huge need for cybersecurity expertise to protect our assets in that new world. Power, everything needs power. When we had opened our systems back in 1986, the elements that really required power were basically escalators and elevators. But now we have come to this digital age where we are now servicing our customers who are demanding more in terms of customer experience and also in terms of customer facilities. We now have customer retail units, so we have storefronts like Tim Hortons who are now tenants in our stations. We have digital displays. We have fare collection equipment that is now electronic. So this power needs to be serviced somewhere, and right now we're in the process of upgrading all of our stations to support our new needs. So this means we need to renew our equipment, whether that's transformers, our breakers, but we also have traction power needs just to service our new trains. So a huge push for that coming up, and for anyone interested, we will have a number of power projects, station power projects, blue light projects coming up in 2026, 2027. Last but not least, we do have a large train control network. We have, of course, our vendor Hitachi, but there's also non-automatic train control elements that we do need to modernize, one of which is our yard control system. So we have some manual yard controllers. We need to design, we need implementation, we also need a lot of integration work. So that is probably coming up later in 2026 or early 2027 as well. Next slide, please. So some special items that I want to highlight for this group here is that we have 2 ITPs coming up, intention to pre-qualify. The first one is project management services. So we're looking to have a number of firms pre-qualify us for some needs for our technical development work here. So this would be design services, this would be safety assurance services, this would be cybersecurity services. And we're expecting this to go out to market later this year. The idea is that we would have a list of people we can call up to do some standard work on design and other technical assignments. We expect these assignments to be relatively short in duration, but ranging anywhere from 6 to 36 months, depending on need. Next slide, please. And the separate ITP we have is for project management services. With all the projects coming online in the next few years, we do have a significant need to have project managers oversee and control our projects. So if you know anyone who might be interested, we definitely have a need for people who can manage scope, schedule, budget, and potentially folks who might be able to manage at even a higher level in terms of program management in any of those 4 program areas that I mentioned earlier. Now, I know being a rail conference, this is maybe not your jam, but we do have a lot of bus expansion work coming as well. So in addition to the rail expansion work, we have in the pipeline a number of bus projects coming up in Vancouver, one of which is our bus rapid transit projects. We have 3 corridors that we're expecting to bring online in the next 3 to 5 years. And right now we're in the middle of design, but we do need support in terms of modernizing our existing facilities as well. So yes, we do need folks to help us with designing the roadway and right-of-way for all the bus facilities. But there are also the ancillary aspects of the bus rapid transit that we also need to modernize, whether that's communications, whether that's life safety, whether that's even things like intelligent transportation systems. So if there's any interest in that, we're expecting to be going to market for design and implementation for those services in probably the next 1 or 2 years. In parallel, like with most other transit agencies in North America, there is a huge push for electrification. So at the same time as we're developing and delivering one of the most ambitious rapid transit projects on bus ever, we're also needing to modernize and electrify our fleet. This involves designing and implementing en route charging, but also yard charging. We also have facilities to do yard management and charge management. So those are some exciting projects coming up. We also have some work coming in to bring in our new trolley fleet. We have about 250 trolley vehicles. I think the only such fleet in North America, or in Canada, one of 5, I think, in North America. So very specialized needs to bring on very unique vehicles and to supply power to those. And of course, we also have just regular updates for our other facilities for roads, for bicycle and pedestrians. So if there's any interest in that, all of our procurement items are posted on BC Bid. And of course, I'll be around if you have any questions for procurement. Thank you.
Thank you, William. Next, we will have Maria from Alto.
So thank you, Leslie, for the kind introduction. It's a pleasure to be here to help kick off of this 2026 TRACCS Rail Day conference. Next slide, please. So this is a highly important conference that brings the entire sector together, fostering knowledge exchange and new opportunities. As you may know, I'm new in the Canadian railway sector, but I come from Spain, and I know from the Spanish railway sector, which is also very strong, how important it is to share with the whole sector what is coming, what is already ongoing for you to be ready and prepared. So I'm here to give you a lightning fast update on the Alto project, and I encourage you to also attend tomorrow's sessions with Mabara Turab and David Cook, 2 vice presidents from Alto's project management team. They will be sharing insights on our Alto high-speed project, maybe more detail. Alto is one of the largest infrastructure initiatives in recent Canadian history. It will link our largest cities along Canada's most populated corridor with 7 stops. That is almost 1,000 kilometers of track. It will significantly shrink distances, so travelers will move from, for example, Toronto to Ottawa in 2 hours, or Toronto to Montreal in 3 hours. This is half the time it takes by conventional rail today. Next slide, please. This is a once-in-a-generation project. One that will reduce congestion, reduce GHG emissions, the equivalent of taking 100,000 cars off the road each year, spur economic growth, and create more than 50,000 construction jobs alone, and another 5,000 jobs once the network is operational. But it can't happen without you. So in the next minutes, I want to give you a picture of where we are in this project, where to date, and most importantly, how you can get involved. Because the ALTO project is bringing significant opportunities to the industry, and we want everyone in this room to be ready. Next slide, please. Yes. Yes, next slide, please. Okay, thank you. So as you can see, work has moved quickly over the past 15 months, starting with the beginning of the co-development and pre-construction phase in March 2025, to being recognized as a transformative strategy by the Canadian government in September 2025, to 100 days of public consultation between January and April 2026 across the entire corridor under study. Being recognized as a transformative project, really our mission, put our mission on the fast track, and we are now working towards the start of construction in the central segment between Ottawa and Montreal in about 3 years. That will be late 2029 or early 2030. So what does it mean for the industry? Next slide, please. First, let me take you back to February 2025 when the ALTO project got the green light. On that day, Cadence was also announced as our private developer partner. Cadence is a Canadian-led multinational group of companies with world-class experience in designing, financing, building, operating, and maintaining large-scale rail infrastructures. Cadence operates at the execution level and is responsible for project procurement and calls for tenders. Why is this so important? It means that Cadence will manage all EOIS, RFPs, and market interactions. Think of them as your primary door to opportunities and your first point of contact for questions as we advance the procurement process. Next slide, please. So high-speed rail is a project for Canadians, and we want to ensure it is built by Canadians to the greatest extent possible. Guided by the Government of Canada Buy Canada policy, we are being intentional about how we structure work packages and participation requirements at every tier of the supply chain to maximize opportunity for Canadian businesses, workers, and Indigenous communities. While international expertise will be part of delivering a project of this scale and complexity, and for sure the first high-speed railways here in Canada, we are engaging industry now to understand where Canadian firms are strongly positioned, identify barriers early, and create pathways for long-term domestic participation and upskilling. Next slide, please. The scale of opportunity we are talking about here is significant, and it spans sectors. From expertise in engineering, construction, technology, to massive volumes of steel, concrete, and other raw materials, this project needs all of that. This means new opportunities, long-term demand, and new supply chain needs that will give businesses the certainty they need to invest and expand. Canadians won't just benefit from this project, they will help build it from the ground up. Next slide, please. Let me share some of the recent works we have been doing together with Cadence to engage industry as part of the procurement planning process. Since November 2025, Cadence and ALTO have been meeting directly with steel companies across Canada and internationally to understand supply capacity and where they can participate. And just a few weeks ago, Cadence and ALTO held procurement roundtables in Montreal and Ottawa, bringing together small and medium-sized businesses to discuss how can we work together. This engagement is directly shaping ALTO's procurement approach. Next slide, please. Now we get to the most important part, how your businesses can stay involved and be ready to seize the opportunities ahead. If you haven't already registered on the Cadence supplier portal, there you have the QR. This is how you will receive updates related to the procurement process and be notified of upcoming opportunities and how to participate. The businesses that do this now will be better positioned when formal procurement opens, so please don't wait. Alto's high-speed rail project is a generational opportunity for Canada and for everyone in this room. I strongly encourage anyone to stay in the conversation with us. And this is just starting now. Please, if you can, stop in our booth. It is the 319 for Alto and Cadence. And we will be there over the next 2 days, and also tomorrow, as I mentioned at the beginning, 2 colleagues will be here to give you more details. So we would like to hear from you. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Maria and Alto. Next, I'd like to welcome Metrolinx again, Chris Phillips, EVP.
All right, that was just a reminder to me that I don't have all of the time that's available on the clock counting down in front of me. I'd just say to my fellow presenters who came before me, incredible performance. You've left loads of time left on the clock, so I remain optimistic about our ability to timely deliver infrastructure projects given your performance ahead of me. And thanks, TRACCS, for letting me be the caboose on today's session. For those who I haven't had the privilege to meet yet, my name is Chris Phillips. I'm on day 3 of employment with an organization called Metrolinx. I started as executive vice president there on Monday, responsible for capital works on what we call here locally Line 5, sometimes known and referred to as the Eglinton Crosstown. So that includes both what's been constructed to date and now went into operation in February of this year, as well as the Eglinton Crosstown West Extension Project and a planned future extension to the airport, Pearson Airport. Prior to that, I did spend 6 years at Infrastructure Ontario, where I had oversight on the Eglinton Crosstown West Extension Project, and some of the materials that you're going to see presented in today's presentation kind of speak to that experience of delivering major projects in kind of a disaggregated way. We didn't queue this up ahead of time, but what I saw in some of the presentations before me today was an approach to major project delivery that showed you different packages, different contracts, different ways to get involved, different opportunities to participate. Certainly saw that in what Danielle presented in the Hamilton LRT, and definitely Shaq in what Shaq presented on behalf of the City of Calgary. So it's very convenient, although that wasn't organized prior, then I'm hoping this material is going to be resonate with how we're delivering projects across the country. I did start this presentation with Eglinton Crosstown West Extension in mind a couple of weeks ago. As I get to drawing it up, I did realize it was important to also make reference to how the Eglinton Crosstown LRT was delivered. We obviously, as an extension of that project, have a lot of interface and connection. And so I did weave into the story in the last couple of days a little bit about how Eglinton Crosstown LRT was delivered. And so you'll get a view through this presentation about how all that infrastructure was delivered. I titled the deck here, One Project, Many Deals. It could be called One Line, Many Opportunities, but really it's to demonstrate by example how some of these major projects are being delivered and how the many opportunities come available. Next slide. There's some maybe bold language in the slide deck, but I'll caveat this slide noting that I did work many years ago now on a project called Canada Line in Vancouver. It was delivered early and on budget. It was delivered as one giant contract. It was a P3 contract, no less. So the caveat is to note that I'm not here to tell you that there is one way of successfully delivering a major infrastructure project, but really only to identify what we've been seeing in Ontario and in the local market, and I think across the country in terms of experienced and lived challenges from delivering major infrastructure projects, particularly major transit and rail transit infrastructure projects, and how as owner organizations we've been reacting to that experience, learning from that experience, adjusting and modifying our approaches. So what we sensed was in the delivery of major projects, perhaps too much risk in one basket. We know and recognize that our contractors and the contracting community don't like a lot of uncertainty and a lot of unknowns, and are going to associate large risk premiums when there isn't clarity, when there isn't certainty, when there are more unknowns than knowns on projects. We have experienced as projects get larger and larger, they start to become potentially too big, certainly for single organizations to deliver, and there is some complexities introduced when a number of major companies have to form consortia or joint ventures. That adds another level of internal complexity and coordination and interface. We have had some positive experience in delivering some work packages with specialized scope of work that's attracted specialized contractors in high levels of competition. So I'd use, for example, tunnel contracts. Guess who participates in a bid for a tunnel contract? Tunnel contractors. Similarly, with our elevated guideway procurement on the Eglinton Crosstown West Extension, we saw major bridge contractors participate. So trying to line up not only the size of those contracts, but the scope in order to attract the right specialized contractors in the right level of competition. Another good reason for potentially considering breaking a project down into its component parts is you can get started with something, right? We saw that experience on both Eglinton Crosstown LRT and Eglinton West Extension, where the tunnel contracts were early procured and early started, even before we hadn't moved beyond reference concept design for stations and facilities and some of the major components of rail systems. So it's a good way to get started when you maybe don't have all the design details ready to go. Next slide. So the next 3 slides or so are going to help maybe familiarize you with some of the terminology I use in later slides and some illustrations and some visualizations. You've heard me made reference already to package, right? So on major projects, we've been thinking a lot about work packages, both in how they're procured, but also within our project teams, how we organize functional organizations around the delivery of work packages that might be within a major project. Obviously, we've got contractors, so those are the folks who are delivering components of any one work package or a component of a project. Those could both be individual companies or consortia or joint ventures of companies working together. Team is a term I've used to recognize that within contractors, we're seeing a number of contractors show up in many different work packages or many different contracts. So within their organizations, they have teams focused on different elements of the project and perhaps working under a different contract with the owner or even in a different contract model. Lastly, contract, I think we all know what that is. Next slide. Also just highlighting many ways to pay for work to be done. This is obviously just a few examples of ways to pay for the work, but you'll see in the illustrations later references to fixed price, to target price, and cost reimbursable. Next slide. There's also a few ways to contract the work or organize the deal. These are a few of the ways that we're using and have used on Line 5 on the Eglinton Crosstown and the Eglinton Crosstown West Extension, often referred to as traditional design bid build. We've got design build contracts, we've got public-private partnerships, and we also have collaborative contracting in the form of progressive design build. Next slide. So what I'd been trying to do is create some visualizations that make something that otherwise might be simple much more complicated. But just trying to piece together visualizations that help people understand how the overall project, the overall line is being delivered. This is a generic sketch. I'm going to show you a more project-specific sketch later. But I was trying to think about different contractors working on the same project, working through different work packages, working through different contracts, working through different contract models. That's the level of kind of complexity that we're faced with when we don't deliver or attempt to deliver a whole project under what I referred to earlier as a mega contract. In a short attempt to maybe describe this visualization, I'd start maybe in the top left. Solid colored ovals there refer to contracts. So the yellow circle in the top left would be a contract. The dash line that's not showing up on the printout in front of me, but you can see it well in the slide, is a work package. So you can see a work package can be larger than any specific contract. The way I've been thinking about that is there are a number of, for example, early works, advanced works, perhaps some utility relocations that happen within a work package, but are done by the owner in advance of the major contract that's been executed for delivery of that scope. So that's why you see a little bit of a difference in some areas there between the dashed circles and the solid circles. Within the solid circles, different teams from different contractors mobilized to deliver that scope. I've got some examples there of 2 teams from 2 different contractors. The one in the center there in the large green oval has 4 teams from 4 contractors. That's not unusual, right? That we see joint ventures of 4 or 5 companies participating down to single companies. I did take out my pencils, my highlighters, and some crayons a couple of weekends ago and tried to create a project-specific version of this generic hybrid project illustration. It's far too complicated to put on the slide. I do have it with me if anybody wants to approach me in the hallway or on a break and see Chris's handiwork in terms of trying to draw that up for the Eglinton Crosstown West Extension Project. A little bit messy. I'm sure Claude or ChatGPT or Copilot or somebody could help me create a better version of that in the future. But I did try to create a simplified version later in this deck. Next slide. So the real example I was working to put together is the Eglinton Crosstown Line 5. 19 kilometers is what's in service today between Kennedy and Mount Dennis. The Eglinton Crosstown West Extension, which is in construction. If you drive along Eglinton, you won't see the tunnels that have been constructed or under construction, but you will see the elevated guideway through the Humber River Valley rising from the ground. Over 5 different contract models being used to deliver that line. And as I mentioned earlier, ECWE, like the ECLRT, used advanced tunnel contracts to get tunneling started, tunnel boring machines in the ground, even before we had advanced past the reference concept design, some elements of the project like the stations and facilities. Next slide. All right, so this is my attempt at a simplified version of the generic illustration you saw earlier. It doesn't have all the squares and circles and dashed ovals and colored ovals, but it does try to lay out kind of a map of the contracting strategy that's been deployed to deliver the project. You will see obviously many consortium, many single-named companies, many companies that are participating in various consortia. And quickly, as you start to jot that down, you realize, man, there's some complexity here, right? There's some interfaces, there are some integration risks that exist as you disaggregate a project into its component parts. And we recognize as owners, a lot of that is going to fall back on us to manage those risks. The punchline at the end there is a lot of the same companies. Some companies you see there repeated, but using different teams, perhaps wearing different hats, working in different contract types, but really is a replication of that generic model I showed earlier. Next slide. So maybe a few reasons why we might mix and match, why we might disaggregate projects, why we might choose different contract models for different contracts and in different work packages. There's a tenet there around, the clearer we can make the scope, the clearer we make the requirements, the more likely it makes sense to be able to seek out a fixed price. The more uncertainty, the lack of clarity, perhaps even the lack of the owner knowing exactly what they're going to want at the end of the day moves us more in the spectrum towards a cost reimbursable or a target price type arrangement. We have recognized that staggering packages and the ability to get out early with utility contracts like we're seeing and road widening and corridor widening contracts like we're seeing on the Hamilton LRT allow us to progress the work
get out of the ground, while perhaps we're still refining later elements of the project. More bidders, better prices is really just about right contract size, right contract scope, right model. I think the indicator as to whether you're doing that right or not, a strong indicator is the level of competition and the level of interest that you get with your procurement. Will help to tell you whether, whether that's a litmus test for telling you whether or not you've got it right. Collaboration where it counts. The biggest contract on the Eglinton West extension is our progressive design build. I often refer to folks that is like 3/4 of the extension project. So although it's been important to get the advanced contracts out, the tunnels in the ground and the elevated guideway in construction, 3/4 of the project is sitting in our station rail and systems. And so the hardest parts are still ahead of us, and we know we're going to need that increased level of collaboration and time spent in the development phase to advance the design before we land on a target price and schedule for that package. Next slide. So I spoke a little bit earlier about kind of what that leaves the owner holding, or what that leaves the owner in terms of challenges and risks. Obviously, a lot of interfaces are introduced, a lot of handovers from one contractor completing their work, the next contractor picking up that work and proceeding with the project thereafter. So I think we need to advance our capabilities and our skill set and our competencies and our expertise in managing interfaces, managing handovers from one piece of infrastructure to the next. I mentioned there the owner becomes the conductor. I don't know if I can liken it to an orchestra, but there is certainly some conducting that needs to happen on the owner's side in order to manage that coordination risk. Collaboration needs discipline. We've had a lot of success to date on the Eglinton Crosstown West Extension project, even in the design build and design build finance contracts we delivered. I would tell folks that is because we are able to implement there a high level of collaboration with our contractors and their designers and our project team, regardless of contract model. We should only be better at that, and we should only be more consistent in that through the collaborative contract models we're now using for major packages. So I don't believe it's impossible in one and only possible in the other, but I think as an industry, let's look to adopt those behaviors and those practices that are instrumental in creating high levels of collaboration, strong relationship building, high integrity, honesty, openness, being forthcoming, speaking plainly. All of those things, I think, regardless of project, regardless of contract model, are going to do us well to be successful together. Last slide, next slide. All right, so maybe some key takeaways. I'm not sure if it'll resonate and leave a lasting impression, but you saw lots of ovals, lots of squares, lots of dash lines, solid lines, and little boxes, but that was an attempt to try to illustrate how we're often seeing now major projects disaggregated, how we're seeing different contract models applied in different work packages, often with overlapping contractors participating in more than one of those boxes. Sometimes they're fixed price, sometimes they're target price, sometimes they're paid in a different way, or maybe have different terms and conditions, but we need to bring them all together, coordinate those interfaces, manage those handovers, and bring the project into operation, regardless of the contract models used in its delivery. Eglinton Crosstown I've tried to present here as an example of how that has come together to date, and how we intend to complete the implementation of the West Extension to Renforth. That's all I had today. Thanks, folks. Appreciate it.
Perfect. I'd like to thank all of our Canadian agencies for participating today. Something that's been very important that we've talked about in many conversations is the conversation around collaboration and the impact that we have from international attendees that come to TRACCS to showcase their proven expertise. And one project, actually, we're going to just show a brief 2-minute video after I finish speaking. And everybody, if able, after, we have to get the air wall closed. So I'm going to have, if there is any questions, to address them off stage, just because we're having some technical difficulties with a traveling mic as well. But I'd like to showcase an attendee that's here, Rail One, that have come all the way from Germany. Their participation in days like this, injecting world-class insight, fostering partnerships and driving advancement in safety, sustainability, and performance. I'm going to showcase this video to illustrate these innovations, and I would like to use this video to help close the partnership pipeline and position TRACCS as Canada's premier platform for the next generation of rail transformation. So if we can play the video.
The Slab Track project in Slovenia marks a major milestone.
This will be a very crucial infrastructure project that will boost the railway in the whole country.
This project focuses on building a new railway line from Ljubljana to Koper, with a total length of 27 kilometers.
It is a very complicated project. It runs over 3 major bridges and along 8 tunnels. The biggest one is around 7 kilometers.
REDA 2000 is a system optimized for exactly these applications. No system change, from turnout to the earthworks, bridges, or even tunnels. One consistent system.
We only can design the right solution if you understand the client's needs. REDA 2000 is a concrete-based system. We found a good balance between prefabrication and steps which are occurring on site by using small bi-block sleepers which are adjusted to the project needs. They are small, they are light, they are flexible.
We focus on highly efficient workflows. First, we assess the equipment already available on site. Together with the client, we develop installation guidelines to avoid additional investment. In the end, this approach is significantly more cost-effective.
The REDA 2000 system is important to us because it is widely used across Europe. And we also benefit from excellent technological support from Rail One.
Our Europe-wide production network ensures rapid and flexible supply.
Rail One is an international-oriented company. Our designs are based on German standards, obviously, but we can adapt our designs to local national standards.
REDA 2000 is the most used system worldwide at the moment. Doesn't matter if it's cold conditions, desert conditions, we can use it without any limitations. We operated the fastest high-speed line worldwide with 260 kilometers per hour. You can use it for heavy haul. And we have also variants of this system dedicated to operation in the cities, like tram or transit metro. This flexibility is endless.
We guarantee a service life of 60 years for the structural track elements. Minimal maintenance is our major benefit.
There were no communication issues. All necessary information was communicated. Everything was delivered on time.
Our aim is to transfer know-how to our local partners, because this, in the end, is the best combination, having a great system that is proven and adaptable, and having a very high-quality team behind it to support it.
Amazing. Well, I'd like to thank a round of applause for all of our agencies that spoke today. And I'd also like to give a round of applause for all of our international attendees that are here today in the audience and contributing, because this is what the industry is about. This is what TRACCS is about, is the collaboration of sharing insights, products like Rail One, about how we can actually do better in the industry. So without further ado, I'll let everybody come off the stage and be open for questions. The air wall is going to close, and we do have a procurement panel at 2 p.m. starting in this room. So thank you again.